Hey everybody, it's Richard Silver from the Silver Burtnick and Associates team at Sotheby's International Realty Canada. And I have on with me a great friend of mine, Mr. Petrus Engelbrecht, who previously is from South Africa, but now lives in the wonderful town or city of Oakville, which is one of our high-end locations. It's outside the city of Toronto proper. It's part of what we call the GTA, and it has very high-end homes, and he knocks it out of the park in that area. Anyways, Petrus, tell us a little bit about your market pre-coronavirus.
Well, pre-coronavirus, it was going really well. It was looking to be a bumper year. It was gearing up for my specific practice to be my best year ever. And then, as we now know, the whole world came to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
So, I did manage to do quite a big deal in Mississauga, which is just right next to Oakville.
Yeah, it's a record deal.
Yeah, it's a record-setting deal. The previous highest price ever attained in Mississauga was 10 million. And this one is just under 12 million at 11,999,000.
Yeah,
specific. So yeah, very, very glad to have been able to do that.
So dinner's on you next time I see you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One of the things I should have mentioned, I didn't mention, is that Oakville, for the most part, is right on the lake. It's on Lake Ontario, so you have quite a nice view. You have, the wonderful access to the city. You have what we call the GO train, etc. So tell me, who are most of your clients? Give me a little bit of a rundown of your clients, your clientele, and if somebody's watching this, what kind of referral could they send to you?
Excellent. Yes. It is a town. They like to refer to themselves as the town of Oakville, even though it is a city. It falls in the definition of a city. And as you mentioned, it's about 40 minutes drive outside of Toronto. So we find that a lot of Torontonians that want to experience more of a suburban lifestyle and want to have a great place for their kids to grow up, they move to Oakville. Oakville has 18 neighborhoods, and it's got an area south of the QEW and an area north of the QEW. South of the QEW is a little bit more expensive, and the schools are all really good in Oakville. So your clientele would mostly be executives, some captains of industry that don't want to necessarily be in the hustle and bustle of Toronto, but still probably they do business in Toronto. So that's basically my clients are C-suite or executives that have kids that want to be in this area, or they need to be in this area for their children.
Very, very family oriented, and it's got all the amenities and more. Anyway, so now we're dealing with the coronavirus. So here's today's new abnormal.
Yes.
And how are you dealing with things?
I find that what happened was, and I'm sure in your practice you see the same, is that all of a sudden within a span of 2 weeks, everything is happening on Zoom and everything is going very electronic. I do find Zoom, for me, is a great tool. The only negative that I see with Zoom is that it consumes you. You have to focus on and you actually have less time in your day than ever.
Yeah.
So as great a tool as it is even if you're in a meeting with multiple people, you have to be focusing on what's happening there. So it does take a lot of my time at the moment. So I'm actually consciously not going to certain meetings if it's not something that's going to benefit my practice, or I can use my time more effectively. I actually now I'm starting to elect not to go to certain Zoom meetings, but it's a great tool. I already in this week jumped on 2 beautiful listing presentations, really phenomenally big transactions if they were to happen. What I can see happening is some transactions being done probably off market. I actually had a Zoom meeting yesterday with somebody for a listing, and all of a sudden realized I can probably do a very rare transaction, which is a property swap.
Right. Property. I mean, in the old days, when the markets, we were going through a recession, I did one that was a property swap plus cash. People wanted, they had a big house, they wanted to move down. People with a smaller house wanted to move up, and we just did a property swap with cash.
And
on
this
top.
is exactly the similar situation where you've got one type of property where I know a client that wants that exact type of property. The objective is to have a delta when those people sell to have more cash, and it could possibly work. I'm pretty confident. So that type of transaction will probably rear its head, and it's just for agents to do their role as proper advisors and
Right.
put their thinking caps on and help their clients through this very tumultuous time.
It's funny because I've been through two major changes in the market, and you know, for a lot of people it was devastating. It wasn't a lot of fun, but what it does is for the really good agents, it just makes you more creative.
Yep.
And we used to do we used to do vendor takebacks, which I'm sure you've heard about, and then we used to do vendor takebacks to sell.
Yes.
And which is when, say, I need to have a second mortgage to sell the property. I take back a second mortgage as the seller for, say, $400,000, and then I sell it to a third party, a second mortgage holder or broker, and they give me $365,000 for it on the day of closing. So
Wow.
I sell it, and they end up with a $400,000 mortgage, but they've paid $35,000 to me or I paid $35,000 to them for it.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the type of thing that I think will happen. And
Yeah.
what I'm at pains of not doing is predicting where the market's going to go. But we obviously have our own theories, and I think it will improve over time. It's just essential. People need roofs over their heads, and what I think I won't enjoy seeing is people exploiting other people, and I can already see that possibly starting to happen. Where people would want to do that, and that's something one has to guard against. It's
You
going
have to be protective of your clients and advise them in the best way possible. And I think you and I've been around long enough that we're here for the business because we love it, and we keep on working because we love it. And it's you have to be there for your clients.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised at the number of agents who have just pulled completely away and just want to stay at home and watch Netflix all day. And I
get the only thing that I'm getting anxious about really is whether I can get around to all my people and just phone them. And I'm not getting around to enough people. I want to just phone them and put their minds at ease and be there as an advisor for them. I feel that if I'm not contacting every single person, that's the only thing that's actually bothering me. The rest is I'm just here to advise them through this process and to upskill myself. I know that you've also got one of these bad boys.
What's that? So yes.
I bought a gimbal because that's now the new way. Everything is going super technology now. So if and when we do start doing open houses again, that's how we're going to do it. Is to do our own walkthroughs and minimize any contact and the minimum amount of people going through that space. So I'm upskilling myself on quite a few things on the technology side.
I think that's one of the things that's scary for a lot of agents too, is they just don't want to they don't I had a couple of calls from agents who want me to help negotiate the property virtually because they have absolutely no idea of how to do DocuSign, how to do even, forms online. They've always had a secretary doing it for them. They've always had a third party. Now they don't have access to the third party and they need your help. So,
my heart really goes out to them. And, what I do see, and I know you've also seen it, is if you're in a big meeting on Zoom, for instance, and agents don't want to be seen on there. Right. I've now actually got a little rule of thumb. About 1/3 of them put themselves on video, and 2/3 don't. And I'm actually worried about my colleagues that don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Because that's the way of the world now. Is
their hair isn't perfect. Exactly. And part of it is too. I always tell people they need to sit as you are with light on you. They always have a tendency, they think, well, it'll be nice if people can see out my back, out the window at the back. But reality is you need a lot of light on your face. And if you don't have a lot of light on your face in these kind of situations, it's very hard to gauge what somebody is feeling. You may be hearing what they're saying, but what they're feeling can be a whole other thing.
Yeah, body language is such a big part of a conversation.
It
It's
is.
the biggest part of the conversation. Yeah. So this is how we're going to converse for the foreseeable
Exactly.
future. You know,
Yeah,
get used to it and upskill yourself.
this is the new abnormal.
That's it.
Anyways, I just want to say thank you again, Petrus. It's always a pleasure working with you. It's always a pleasure talking to you and knowing you. And you know, anybody I have wanting to move out to Oakville, you're my man.
Thank you very much,
And
and thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it, and this is part of it, Richard, is to learn how platforms work. It's like when you're traveling to a place the first time, you just
yeah,
it's just the first time when you go there that you uncertain, and then you know how to do it. So the more
yeah.
we do things like this with colleagues, the better it becomes. So thank you very much for having me on.
Pleasure. It's interesting, but I think you're absolutely right. And because we are such social beings, to not be social, I mean, thank God we have all the technology that we have right now. If it had been 20 years ago, without the
Oh,
technology, it would have been, you know, terrible. It would have been
absolutely.
much harder. But now we have the, you know, I'm having a FaceTime with my nephews and my great nephew. It's wonderful. So these are
I
the
actually,
options.
to the last thing, I actually have most of my family are
South
in
Africa.
South Africa,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen some of them for 10 years. And it struck me 2 days ago, wait a minute, we can have a family gathering on Sunday,
Yeah.
and bam, I'm having a Zoom family gathering. I haven't seen most of them for the longest time, and everybody's looking forward to it now. And this is, again, one of those small positives that come out of something like this is you start using the new abnormal,
Technology. Yeah.
and all of a sudden you are seeing people again that you haven't seen for a while. So there's a slight silver lining to this, right? So
Yeah, I think so. It's just a matter of being creative and also not closing any doors, really. So
that's it.
again, thanks very much, Petrus.
Thank
And
you.
as I said, you are my guy in Oakville, and we will keep referring our clients to you. They're thrilled when they work with you. So thanks very
Awesome.
much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Richard. Appreciate it, man.
Take care.